ممكن يشحنوا على مصر. الجتة بكام؟ مش بكام.
Mr. Ferguson is coming from Raleigh to present the funeral arrangement. عين ما هياش subject good يعني بس لازم ضروري ان احنا كلنا نهتم بيه يعني. Okay, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to thank each of you for allowing me into your place of worship to just give you all a little bit of information today.
تحبوا ترجم ولا كله فاهم؟ هو بيقول اوكي. هو بيقول مبسوط ان هو جاي هنا وانا متشكر ان انتوا سمحتوا لي ان انا اجي في المكان العباده بتاعتكم في الكنيسه وكده. That's it.
So I wanted to start by letting you know that what I came to present today is just another option for funeral arrangements for the Coptic Church.
ده هو جاي يعرض بس عليكم اوبشن ان هو تبع الكنيسه. Hello.
It might be the mask.
Hello. Yeah. That's a good idea. هو بس هيعرض عليكم الاوبشن بتاعت المدافن والfuneral homes. Another option. Right.
So we currently work with St. Mary's Coptic Church in Raleigh, and we were referred by a brother Abraham, who actually had put us in touch with your place of worship.
الأستاذ عاطف إبراهيم اللي هو في كنيسة رالي هو الحقيقة هو اللي بيتعاملوا معاهم في الكنيسة هناك كنيسة العذراء فهو اللي قال لنا عن الأستاذ مستر فيرجسون ويشرح لنا. لا الفيونرال.
We're funeral and cremation. So we do both. What we did was we wanted to go ahead and give the Coptic Church a basically one set price of $3,000 package, which is all inclusive.
احنا حاولنا الكنيسة الأرثوذكسية هنديها عرض اللي هو الباكج كله على بعضه هيكلف $3,000. Yes. For one person.
Yes. So this package includes the pickup of the remains.
ده هيبقى تاخد يشمل البادي ياخد الجثة اللي هو بعد ما الواحد بيتوفى هياخده يودي and then you take him
to our facility.
هياخده المكان بتاعه سواء هتاخده من أي مستشفى من بيت أي حد أي مكان يعني بياخدوه بينقلوه للفاسيلتي بتاعته. المكان لا مش مكان الدفن نو مكان اللي هو بيعملوا فيه ياخدوا فيه الجثة هناك. هياخدوه من البيت ياخدوه عندهم هم في الفاسيلتي بتاعتهم في مبنى عندهم and then what you gonna do just wait and then what's next.
So once we get back to our facility, embalming is not required by state law. It's an option for the family. If you do not want to be embalmed, we have a refrigeration unit, which is something like a morgue on our facility. That
embalming بياخدوا كل okay you could explain the embalming.
So embalming is the preservation of the body, basically taking out the blood and inserting formaldehyde for preservation purposes. There are some religions that are against embalming. There are some families that rather just have the body washed and anointed with oils. Yes, sir.
يعني في بعض الديانات بتقول ان هي مش لازم يعملوا الامبامينج ديت بيشيلوا كل مكونات الجسم من جوه سوائل وبيخلوه يعني بيحتفظوا بالمكان البادي بتاعه.
So you do have the option of having family members come to our facility to dress the body as well as wash if you do desire that. If you choose not to, we do have a staff that will take care of that for you.
المكان بتاعهم ممكن لو انت تحب حد من العيلة بتاعتك تيجي هي تعمل التغسيل وتلبسك وتحط الزيوت المعطرة زي ما انت عايز. لو انت عايز الاوبشن بتاعهم ان هم يعملوا كده ممكن يعملوه.
Also included is the casket for the service. So there's about 12 options. They range in color. So colors for women are like pink, white and gold, purples. Then we have colors options for men, which are grays, blues, blacks. And then we have neutral colors, which are like your tans and creams.
عندهم برضو 14 نوع من المسجد اللي هو صندوق تبع الوان اللي انت عايزها تبع سواء فيميل او راجل ست او راجل تبع الالوان مختلفه يعني.
Yes. So the exterior and quality is the exact same. It is typically gold hardware, but the color just changes as far as what color you preferably want. You can upgrade to another casket. There are some families that want wood specifically. Woods are a little bit more expensive because they are handcrafted. If you do go with the wood option, what we do is we just give you $1,000 credit towards it. So if the casket is $2,000, you just pay the $1,000 difference.
الكاسكت اللي هي الصندوق نفسه ده كله نفس النوع بس الوان مختلفه وكده. بس لو انتوا عايزين لو الناس الفاميلي عايزين تابجريد يدوا حاجه اعلى شويه بيبقى خشب معين يعني هيدوك هم $1,000 للكاسك الصندوق التاني اللي انت هتشتريه.
The size for the casket.
So the caskets come in a standard size. The width of the casket is about 26 inches. So the average person can fit into a standard size casket. When you start getting into your, they consider the word oversized caskets, which are just for larger people. At that point, you're about over 250 pounds, 250 to 300 pounds or more. There's just an additional charge, and that's just on the actual casket.
هو ده ال 250 باوند ده المتوسط اللي هو بتاع الصندوق. لو هيبقى فيه حد يعني الحجم بتاعه اكتر من كده هيبقى فيه extra charge زياده.
Just looking around the room, just to give you a better idea, everyone in here would fit inside of a standard casket. Just to give you a better idea.
Including you?
Yeah, including me. So that is included as well. The hearse that brings the casket from our facility to the church is also included. The hearse is just the vehicle that you see with the higher back that carries the casket. We have a 2020 Cadillac hearse that we would bring to the church. And then that casket would also transport you to the cemetery of your choice.
الهرس اللي هو الجنازه يعني عندهم عربيات كبيره وفيها حته رامب كده اهوت يعني يدخلوا فيها بالعجل ويطلعوه هياخدها من المكان اللي هو الفاسيلتي بتاعتهم يوديها للكنيسه يصلوا عليها وبعدين يودوها للمدافن. ده كل ده included.
So, yes, sir.
Okay. In the funeral home in general, the way I see it once actually, they have some halls like a whole salat. So let's say if the night before the funeral, you can invite some people and a priest can talk to them.
Yes.
Is it something whole?
Yes. So we have a facility at our facility. We have a chapel at our facility. It seats about 75, and then we have an overflow area that holds about 25. So we can get roughly about 100 people there. If you said that you wanted to have something here the night before, Just something at our facility?
No, yeah, yes, just your
Like
facility.
if
You
you're
have
gonna
it.
do like a viewing or something
Yeah,
like that the day before.
so if you wanted-
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have that option while the body is there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. At any point, you have that option. We do give the family a 4-hour window, and then and that's completely included. If they want to go anything outside of that or beyond that, it's just an additional charge of $100 an hour, and that just basically covers our staff being there during the service.
في المكان اللي هو الفيوينج اللي هو بيعملوا الوداع الأخير للمتوفي. في عندهم برضه قاعة بتستقبل حوالي 75 نفر أو 100 مدة 4 ساعات. لو زادت عن كده هتدفع زيادة $100 في الساعة زيادة. وده ممكن لو في تصلوا عليه ولا الناس تشوفوا يبصوا عليه آخر لحظة يعني آخر مرة.
السعر اللي بيقول عليه انكلود القاعة ديت
Yes.
ولا دي اوبشن زيادة؟
It is included. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, yes. The 4 hours are included. Anything beyond that, you just pay the difference.
And if you don't want it,
You don't have to.
but you give me refund for this money?
So that one is just, we just include it because it doesn't really take away, it doesn't cost us anything. So we really just throw it in there as an additional benefit to families. I will let you know that when you are unembalmed, we do try to tell families that if they can limit the amount of people to under 50, and the reason that is just because it is still an unembalmed body, which is still a hazardous risk to others. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't say if a person had COVID or didn't have COVID. If I don't do any type of preparation as far as embalming, I can't really guarantee that something won't spread. That's the only downside you get with that.
لو هو الجثة ما تعملهاش embalming اللي هو التنظيف اللي هو بيقول عليه دوت اللي هو التنظيف اللي بيقول عليه ده الامبامينج لو ما تعملهاش كده بتبقى ممكن فيها بكتيريا فيها حاجات ممكن تعدي الناس فبيخلوها بس 50 نفر مسموح بيهم اللي هم يعملوا الفيوينج.
And you have only one location for this, or you have different location?
So we have one location right now in Raleigh. We're working on actually getting a location in Durham as we speak. So we're actually going to be expanding across. So we are essentially going to serve Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill.
So you mean that you in the future we have 3 locations, one in Raleigh?
You pick whichever location you like.
Yeah.
Whichever one is more convenient for your family or your church congregation, you pick that one.
Thank you.
If you have like, if like somebody pass away in the hospital, I call you, you pick up from the hospital to funeral home.
Yes, sir.
If I want to bring him here for some prayer, I don't want to use the chapel like what you have in your area. I want to hear in our church.
Yes.
So the transportation from the funeral home to here is covered and back.
We'll take care of that. If you just want us to bring the body here for anything dealing with religious purposes, we include just because I would never charge one person more than the next just because of their religious views. So anything that pertains to your religion as far as bringing the body here for prayer, if that's something that your family needs or wants, we take care of that. Okay. Any other questions before I move on?
No. If you have your company also, you have like عقد another. If you have contract with any country or city more in here, if you died for New York, or you can come in here for. You understand what I mean?
So we do a lot of international shipping. We also do domestic. I actually have a contract with the second biggest company in the United States. So I'm basically shipping remains out the country and domestically at least 5 or 6 times a week. So we are very proficient in international as well as domestic shipping. If you do want to go with that option, what we do is we tell families that I go with the most economical option. So if it makes more sense for us to drive the body to Virginia, we would do that versus putting the body on a plane, just because whatever's going to be more cost effective for the family is what we want to utilize. So if you did want to go out the country or out the state, that is an option. What you have to realize is that you'll have to get another funeral director on that end, and another funeral home on that end to work with, just because our licenses are only deemed per state. So right now I'm licensed in North Carolina and New York. I'll be getting licensed in Virginia. So if, as far as those options, you wouldn't have to get anybody involved. But when you start talking about crossing state lines into Georgia or South Carolina, things like that, you have to get another entity involved. But I try to work with the families if they don't have anybody who is in that area. I want to essentially work with someone who understands your religion and your culture, because at the end of the day, I want to put you in good hands.
هو السؤال كان ان هو هل ممكن لو هو حد عايز ينقل الجثه بتاعته لمكان تاني او لولايه تانيه، فهو بيقول هو
معلش انا اسف، السؤال ان لو انا وقفت في مكان عاوز اجي هنا، يعني انا
the opposite.
هو كان في مصر مثلا حصل يعني انا ماشي رحله وحصل لي حاجه في نيويورك في جيرسي في كاليفورنيا ماشي
واشنطن في اي مكان هو راح.
So assuming that you all, so assuming that one of you all, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I said that wrong. So vice versa.
Yes.
I always tell my families to call me first, because I want to make sure it's easier for me to do a business-to-business deal with another funeral home than for you to do, for a consumer to go into that funeral home. They're going to charge you more, and it's probably going to be the same funeral home that I would have already called.
So let's say if something happened in Georgia, in Atlanta. So I'm going to call you, and you make an arrangement from Atlanta to here.
Yes.
And you take it from here.
Yes, and depending upon the circumstances is depending on how I would move this. I'm not a cookie cutter funeral home, so essentially if you've already signed up for us and you said, okay, we got the $3,000 package, the only difference that you'll be doing is now you'll just have to pay the mileage. It may make more sense for me to put the body on a plane, depending on where the body's at. It may make more sense for us to go pick the person up in our vehicle. So whichever one is more cost effective is the option we use, but you would just pay the difference of the mileage.
So you're charging us for the difference of moving? Or
Yes.
okay.
So what's included in this is basically a 50-mile radius of Chapel Hill, Durham, Orange County, Durham County, and Wake County.
75 here.
For the service. So let's just say you have another Coptic church that you want to go to. We'll go there at 75 miles for the service. But as far as picking up the remains, there's no mileage charge or anything if you're in Chapel Hill, Durham, any of the smaller cities around those counties, you're covered.
يعني معناها لو حصلت الوفاة في أي ولاية تانية برضو تكلموه هو وهو he will contact another funeral home في نفس المكان اللي انت فيه وهم they arrange it. بتبقى كده أحسن من انت لما تشوف هناك حد عشان في الظروف دي يعني بتشارج مور، لكن لو هو تبعه هو هيبقى فيه تخفيض شوية. ولو في حاجة تانية لو هو ممكن يعمل النقل بالعربية بتبقى أوفر لو في ولاية قريبة من هنا، يعني لو في مثلا في فيرجينيا أو مكان ممكن يبقى فيه المايلز قليلة شوية، لكن لو بالطيارة هتبقى طبعا أنت تدفع التكاليف دي كلها.
Cemetery around here that you comfortable work with?
So one that I work with when I work with St. Mary's is actually the Raleigh Memorial Gardens right there in Raleigh. I don't have one specifically that I work with in Chapel Hill, but if you needed that information of a recommendation, I'm friends with a lot of funeral homes out here who do burials. I would recommend one that has perpetual care. What that is just making sure a portion of the money that you pay to that cemetery is put into like a trust account, and by law they have to make sure the land is taken care of for eternity.
Actually, 1:30 واحدة ونص واحدة جاية هاتوا لنا على السيمتري.
But yeah, the cemeteries are up to your choice of where you want to go. If they're offering you a really good deal, especially like a church deal, that's probably the better option to go with. If you have any questions about that, you can ask me. I'm very honest with my families that I serve, just because I don't want you to ever feel like I led you astray. So if you ever have a question, you can call me up, and I'll tell you my thoughts and my opinions. I give you professional and personal opinions as well.
لو في حد عنده أي سؤال ممكن هو يتصل بيه وهو يقدر يساعد على قد ما بيقدر يعني.
If you decided to sign up for and you wanted to do something that you were paying ahead of time, you can do that. We give you two options. One is you can pay it all up front and just be completely done with it. The second option is you can pay installments on it, and you can do as little as $25 a month, and there's no interest on it, so you're paying directly on the principal.
لو انتوا تحبوا تشتروها مرة واحدة تدفعوا الفلوس كلها مرة واحدة that's okay. لكن لو عاوزينها بالتقسيط هتبقى مثلا $25 داون بيمنت ومن غير انترست كل شهر. داون بيمنت وكل شهر بعد كده. And if you die before you finish
If you die before you finish the payment, that $3,000, the way the contract is written, it's an inflation-proof contract. So that means even if you live another 100 years, I can never charge you more than anything. No one else can ever charge you more than what you've already signed up for.
if the person dies
Before making maybe 5 payments, then what they do is they just take those 5 payments, apply it to the, so let me give you an example. If you sign up for the $3,000 and you say, I'm going to pay $100 a month, and you live 5 months, so now your balance is $2,500, your family just pays the remaining balance. No, and you'll get places that will say that they'll pay it off. The difference that they tell you is they won't tell you that you'll end up paying interest on it. So if it's a gamble. If you live to pay it off, you end up paying probably double. If you didn't live to pay it off, then you're dead, and you won, but you essentially didn't get the benefit of it. So it's a gamble because they treat it like insurance. So either you're gonna live past the payment and you're gonna end up paying more, or you're gonna die before and they'll pay it off. It really just depends. I recommend doing it with the principal because at the end of the day, you never pay more than what you've already signed up for.
قبل ما تكمل الدفع بتاعها هو بيقول لها يعني لو هي مثلا دفعت $100 في 5 شهور يبقى ب 500 وحصلت وفاة يبقى فاضل 2500. الأهل يبقى ملزمين إن هم يدفعوا ال 2500. لكن بس طبعا هو بيقول إن هو حاجة فايدة يعني اللي هي لما تدفعها وأنت تعيش أطول من المدة تبقى بتوفر فلوس لأن ساعتها السعر بتاع الفينر هيبقى غالي اغلى من الوقت الحالي.
هو معلش الحجز شخصي ولا ان جنرال؟ بمعنى انا احجز مكان لشخص لازم احدد اسم مين ولا اللي يموت الاول يروح؟
Yes. So as far as the funeral side, yes, and that's because we have to, by law, put the money into a trust account, and it's attached to a person's name. So the state, to make sure we don't ever do anything fraudulently to protect the consumer's money, they won't let us transfer it like that. On the cemetery side, they're different. They're governed a little differently than us. You can buy a space, put it in your name, and then if someone in your family passes before you, you can give that to them. If you're going to do it, let me back up. You can technically do it, but you're going to need to do it as a revocable contract in the funeral side. I'm not a big fan of revocable contracts because if you ever have to get Medicaid, Medicaid looks at it as an asset. If you use irrevocable, it's not looked at as an asset. So it really depends on your circumstances. For someone who is in good health and younger, revocable makes sense to do it that way. If you're typically in your 60s or in poor health, you want to go irrevocable, because if you ever have to use public assistance, they can't look at that as an asset to you.
Can you change the contract?
As far as doing what? Once it's irrevocable, it can never be put back to revocable. Yep, so.
Like 2 contracts, one revocable and one
Irrevocable, yes.
Oh.
So the
Are
irrevocable.
they the same price?
Same exact price. It just, the difference is how the government looks at it. With us, it's the exact same thing. The government looks at it differently, because revocable means that you can always come back and get that money. As it's gaining, as it's sitting in the account, you can always say, you know what, I'm a little short-handed on my car note. You can go back and grab that money out if you want to. With irrevocable, you can never touch it again. It can only be used for funeral arrangements. So it really just depends on how your circumstances. And when I talk to families, I tell them to just kind of give me, are you in poor health? What's your reason for doing it? Based on that, I would make a recommendation. So everybody doesn't end up irrevocable, everybody doesn't end up revocable. It really depends on your circumstances.
انا ما فهمتش الموضوع بقى. لا ما انا عايزين نفهم.
طب شوية.
بيقول لك الكونتراكت مع الفينرال هوم ممكن يبقى انه يتلغي او ما يتلغيش. لو انت اتزنقت في فلوس ومحتاج فلوس، تقدر لو انت ماضي على اللي يتلغي تقدر تخش وتلغي الكونتراكت وتاخد الفلوس بتاعتك نو بينالتي، مفيش اي شروط جزائيه عليك. ده اللي هو ريفوكابل. الانريفوكابل ما تقدرش تكنسله no matter what. It's a contract, it's a valid under any circumstances. ما هو ده بقى في الحالة دي انت هتستخدم الريفوكابل.
No.
اوكي that's a question. ممكن ان احنا اتفضل.
هو حسب كلامه ولا بيقول ان انا لو حجزت لشخص باسم معين، اسم مثلا سامح،
ما ينفعش يتغير. لا كلام لا، هو مش هيقدم السيرفيس غير لما ياخد فلوسه ان ادفانس.
لو حد توفى ولسه عنده قرض، لازم الاهل بيدفعوه. they go after his assets، بيروحوا على الحاجات.
العقد الشخصي يعني انا حاجز مكان اسم
اوكي
ما ينفعش يدي واحد تاني.
نو
حسب اللون هنا مدحت لو مات بعيني 1000 للبنك الدين بيموت.
نو
استنى بس انا اقول لك على حاجه. انت لو عندك بيت وعليه بيمنت، الورثه يا يكملوا البيمنت بتاعت البيت يا اما يتعمل عليه فول كلوجر، اتحجز عليه. العربيه نفس الحكايه. الكلام ده في الكريدت كارد.
I think you're thinking of it more of it as a straight insurance policy. Yeah, and it's different. So it's in an insurance account, but that's because of how the state says it has to be set up. So technically an insurance company holds the money, but you're thinking of it more as an insurance policy where if I have a mortgage on my home, I'm taking out an insurance that if I die, the mortgage is paid off. Yeah, it's not like that. This one is a little bit different. We're essentially attaching a funeral contract with a dollar amount and letting a company hold it. The reason we have to do it that way is that if we ever closed or went bankrupt, your money is never attached to us. You can always take that dollar amount and always move it somewhere else. That's why we have to put it into like an insurance holding account, but it's not an insurance policy, and that's kind of how you're looking at it a little bit. It's not that. It's a little bit different.
هو اللي قاله كمان قبل كده بيقول لك هو بيقعد مع كل واحد بيشوف موقع يعني احتياجاته ايه وسنه ايه وصحته ايه، فهو بينصحك يقول لك تعمل ايه تبع اللي انت تبع المعلومات اللي هتديها له، اللي هو يعمل لك يس
واللي قبليه مات واللي بعديه مات.
ما هو طب هتعمل ايه؟ طب there's no guarantee.
So the question is, since you said it can be a revocable contract.
Yes.
If you sign one of the revocable contracts and the contract is under my name, I don't die, but somebody else in the family died.
Then you can move that money.
Then you revoke the contract and you resign it under the person who died name.
So with
and this money goes towards it.
Yes. Yes. So
if unrevocable, you cannot do it.
You can never touch it because it has to only solely be used for you.
But the question is, now you said it's a $3,000. So it will be $3,000, or you're gonna say, okay, the $3,000 was valid on September 2021.
If it's
now
us,
we are in 2025. The price has gone to $5,000. Give me $2,000 extra. This is the case? Or the contract.
If you revoke it, because you'll have to revoke it through us. If you revoke it through us and say, this is the reason I want to do it, we would honor that.
So you honor everything in the contract, including the money?
Yes.
Just you slash the old name and put the new name?
Yes, we're revocable, yes.
Yes, if it's a revocable. بس في حاجة تانية قال لك عليها في الريفوكابل، قال لك لو أنت معاك ميديكير فوق ال 65 سنة، الحكومة بتبص للريفوكابل كونتراكت از ان اسيت.
Yes.
يعني انت راجل دلوقتي معاك $3000 في البنك، لانك انت ببساطه تقدر تكسر الكونتراكت ده في اي وقت ويبقى في جيبك $3000. لكن لو هو unrevocable الحكومه ما بتقدرش تعتبره ان دي فلوس، لان انت من الاخر ما تقدرش تكسر العقد ده وما تقدرش تاخد الفلوس دي في الميديكيت بتاعك. زي مثلا ما بتيجي تعمل انت انشورنس تبع الجفرمنت حاليا، يقول لك هات لنا بنك ستيتمنت. انت في حاله الريفوكابل البنك ستيتمنت بتاعك على اعتبار يعني هتبين ان انت راجل معاك 3000. unrevocable يبقى الستيتمنت بتاعك ان انت حسابك ما فيهوش فلوس بس كده. هو ده قال لك ده الداون سايد الوحيد، الحاجه العيب الوحيد اللي موجود للريفوكابل كونتراكت، الباقي كله مزايا. فقال لك انت ممكن تافويد الموضوع ده بانك انت تعمل تو كونتراكت، ريفوكابل وانريفوكابل اندر ذا سيم نيم، تحت الاسم الواحد. لا هو المفروض كده، لان ايفينشال الخمسه هيقابلوا وجه كريم يعني في الاخر، فانت محتاج 5 كونتراكت.
Okay.
أسئلة كتير الراجل
Can you have only for 2 people out of the 5? We're not sure
Yes.
what is it to.
So each contract is completely totally different. So like you all three may be one family.
Okay.
He may want irrevocable, you may want revocable, she may want irrevocable. You can do it however you want to mix and match, but what I do tell families is go with, if you're going to make the one if you're going to make the one revocable where you can get the money back, use it on the younger, most healthy person.
Use a revocable on the younger kid.
On the younger, healthier person, because then they're naturally probably going to live the longest, and that money can always be moved back and forth. That's so it depends on each person's situation.
So you don't look at it as just one family. You look at you classify the family as the old people or the healthy people.
No, the state looks at each person individually. So when we write the contract, I can't write a whole family contract. I have to write one individual contract per person. That's why they do it that way. If you were gonna, it wouldn't make sense for you to write one big contract. Even if I could, it wouldn't make sense just because if something happened to your wife,
okay,
the money is gonna want to go. It's gonna want to cash it out. So doing it individually is going to make more sense. I can't say take a life insurance policy and say send me $5,000 and hold on to the rest. I have to take it all or nothing. So the state wants you to write it individually, which we have to do because it's attached to a social security number. When we register it with them every year, essentially we have to go back and do audits on the accounts to let them know how much money this family has in their accounts and things of that nature. They want to know by each person what they have.
Let's say if you pay now for unrevocable and you move out of the States. So now you're not going to get your money back, the 3,000. You paid it off here, and you go to California or any other state. So in this way, you lose your money?
No, your money is always protected. So when I say that your money is put into an insurance holding account, it's basically like you have a check that you can use for the future. So let's say you move to California. Essentially, you take that policy number that they'll mail you. You take that policy number, and the funeral home out there probably are not going to honor my prices, but the dollar amount is always still good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's basically a savings account. Yes, it's a savings account that's attached to a funeral contract. That's essentially what it is. So your money is never in my account. I never have any ownership of the account. You can literally call them up and say, if it's revocable, you can call them up and say, hey, I want to leave $1 in there. And they have to send you a check for the difference.
Okay.
The insurance? Yes. So yes. It's through us, but it has to, so the state says that we cannot put the money into our own account, so we have to put it into another holding account.
Under each person, we cannot do two contracts, one revocable, one unrevocable.
You technically can. You can.
You can for the same name.
For the same name, yes.
Has two contracts, one revocable.
Yep.
أنا سألت سؤال usually أنا فكرت بصورة عائلة لو عائلة فيها 5 أب وأم وثلاث أولاد إزاي تفكر فيهم؟ فأنا فكرت فيها كعائلة إن أنت تحجز مكانين أو تحجز يعني 2 service و whatever happens like لأي واحد بالضبط يروح الأول. فيبدو ان ده ما نفعش، الفكره دي ما نفعتش، يبدا تفكر فيها اكتر كل الواحد لوحده، بس فكر فيها بالصغير لوحده بالكبير بطريقه مختلفه. الكبير ومثلا صحته على قده يبقى تفكر في ان هو يدفع الفلوس وتتحسب له، واللي هو unrevocable دوت على اعتبار ان هو هياخد الخدمه هياخدها، ما يقدرش يسحب الفلوس تاني. حتى لو كان العيب بتاع دوت مع ما فيش عيب مع دوت، انت مش هتخسر الفلوس دي اجينست ميديكير، الميديكير مش هيحسبها ضدك. العيال بقى ممكن او يعني بصرف النظر مش عارف تفكر فيهم بطريقه اللي هي ريفوكابل. يعني ايه؟ يعني يقدر يسحبوا الفلوس دي في اي وقت. فاكنك بتقسم العيله لنوعين جوه العيله، نوع من اللي ممكن يحصل له يعني الله لا يقدر يحصل له حاجه بطريقه او معرض اكتر لمشاكل، فيرسز اللي هو نوع مش معارض قوي، مفيش حاجه تبين انه عنده مشاكل. اللي ما عندوش مشاكل ممكن تعمل له ريفوكابل، قدامه يعني صغير في السن، قدامه عمره وصحته كويسه. اللي عنده مشاكل تعمل له ريفوكابل. وحنا بعد كده سأل سؤال تاني، انت ممكن تعمل بقى اللي عنده مشاكل تعمل الاثنين، تعمل له واحد ريفوكابل اند واحد انريفوكابل. الريفوكابل تقدر تسحبه تاني، الانريفوكابل ما تقدرش تسحبه على اعتبار ان هو
one person, 2 contracts, one revocable, one unrevocable. So that means I have to buy two services.
Technically, yes, because I have to attach it to something. So even if we did 2 irrevocable, well, 1 irrevocable, 1 revocable. If you said, hey, I want to just do half and half, I would just essentially break the contract up in the middle. And I would just say, okay, $1,500 is irrevocable, $1,500 is revocable. The contract will essentially have one that has the casket on it and maybe the pickup, and then the other one will have the hearse and the service and everything else on it, just because I have to attach something to it for the state's purposes. I have to put something that they can see where that dollar amount went to. Because let's just say, for instance, I attach a hearse, right? And I say it's $300 for the hearse. And let's say you all don't use the hearse. I have to refund that $300 back to you by state law. So they want me to attach a dollar amount to it, but essentially you can do either $1,500 in irrevocable, $1,500 in revocable. It's really going to come down to your situation. Like I said, if you're an older person, I would never tell them to go revocable. I just wouldn't, because it doesn't make any logical sense to do that. If you're fairly young, like I have a contract on myself. I have a revocable contract just because I may say, hey, I want to use this for the down payment on my next house. I can pull that money and use it for whatever I want. If it's irrevocable, I can only use it for my funeral arrangements. It can only be upgraded. It can never be downgraded.
لو انت اخدت الريفوكابل دوت، قال لك الفلوس مش تقدر تاخدها تاني من عندهم، لان الفلوس دي زي ما يكون اتحجزت للموضوع الفينرال هوم بس، ويبقى انت مش هتاخدها من الفلوس منه، بس انت تروح كاليفورنيا، نقلت كاليفورنيا، فهو هيعمل ايه؟ مش هيديك الفلوس، لكن هيديك زي ما يكون فاوتشر او حاجه بيها kind of voucher like
yes
kind of voucher. تاخد الفلوس دي وبتروح على كاليفورنيا وبتروح الفينرال هوم. ممكن الفينرال هوم تتكلف مثلا 5000، هيقول لك اوكي that's 5000 we already have a voucher for 3000 you pay 2000 so you don't lose your money but you cannot use it. لازم تستعملها بس عشان الفينرال بس، ما تقدرش تعمل فيها اي حاجه ثانيه. لكن الريفوكابل هو تقدر تسحبها لو انت صغير او انت حاسس ان صحتك كويسه.
The easiest way to think about it is irrevocable. I can only use it for myself or whoever it's written on. I can only use it for that. Revocable, you can use it for whatever. You can use it for another funeral. You can use it to buy a house. You can use it on a down payment for a car. You can use it for whatever because you can always pull that money back.
You can pull this money back and return it back to your account, or
they'll write you a check, so it'll go right back to you. So if you said, hey, I want to just cash out, let's just say your expense comes up to $5,000, and you say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about going on vacation, I want to pull $2,500 out. You can call them and say, I want to take $2,500 out of my account. Let's just say yours is already paid in full. They'll send you a check back for the $2,500.
And after after later on, you can put this $2,500 back again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's almost like borrowing off a 401k.
But no limit time, no interest, nothing.
No interest. No, there's
no limit time to return this money back.
No.
No.
No. The only thing is and I tell families, you don't want to get caught out there where you're going on vacation. So you pull the $2,500 out and you spend that money on vacation, and then you come back and let's say you pass away. Now your family owes the $2,500.
Okay. So I have another question. If you have one contract revocable and you already pay it off after 3-5 years, whatever, and after 5 years you need another revocable contract, it will be the same price or the updated price?
So it would be the updated price. We try, essentially what we do, we're the lowest cost funeral establishment in Raleigh, Durham, or Chapel Hill.
Okay.
I will always be that because that's the vision God gave me for this company. It's just something that was going to be affordable for families. Essentially, you'll pay the price of it that day, but I can tell you in 5 years, it might be $3,250.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be an astronomical number.
So the price $3,000 for one person, revocable or unrevocable. So is this same procedure if you're going to use a different way to bury your body? If you are going to burn?
Like cremation?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were going to do cremation,
it is the same price?
No, our cremation is cheaper. So then we would owe you a refund.
How much?
Our cremation, our direct cremation without a service is $895.
$895.
So that's doing just pick up, refrigerating the body, then cremating service. If you said, hey, we want to have it at the church, and then have cremation thereafter, that'll probably bring you all around $2,500. So we would owe you back $500. If you said, hey, we want to cremate.
So is our religions after the bodies passed away, so we have some prayer in the church. So I don't have to, if I need after this procedure, I need to burn the body. So it will be
$895, yes, sir.
It includes the...
That includes us doing all the legal paperwork, filing a death certificate, contacting Social Security.
he wants it cremated, but after it comes here to be prayed on in a cast, and then you take it and burn it.
Okay, so almost like having a regular service.
So the price is not the issue.
But instead of going to the cemetery, we're going to the crematory. Got you. So that'll put you around. That's the one I was saying was around 2,500. So we would owe you back 500.
Which is, you're not going to save much. Just 500.
بس من غير الصندوق 900 من غير صندوق مش هتصلي عليك الصندوق عشان الصلاه مفيش صندوق ارخص شويه عشان موضوع الصلاه ربع ساعه يمشي
Okay, let's go back the most economical. Okay. Let's for family with the 5 members. Let's find out the best economical way.
Mm-hmm.
How about for this family, it's 5 members, we're gonna buy 2 contracts. One, let's say for the family, one revocable, one unrevocable.
Mm-hmm.
If something happened to the head of the family unrevocable, okay, so he will take it to the head man. If anything happened to the other 4, so he can switch revocable to one of them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes. So the way I would do that is, like I said, I would put that revocable contract under the youngest, most healthy person. Just assuming that they live the longest.
Okay.
That's just an assumption.
Okay.
So that way, and they would be the owner of the policy.
Okay.
But let's say the policy is on you. We would put them as the owner and put you as the beneficiary, which you'll be the person that's, the way they look at it is the beneficiary is the person who the arrangements are for. We can move that money to the next person if something happened, as long as it's revocable.
Okay, how about even, okay, let's get better or more economical side. So how about you make only one contract for this family, 5 family, and you make it with the name of the youngest. Okay, if something happened to the oldest, we move it to the oldest, and let's.
Well, you can do that. You can do that, but when you cash it out, when that person passes, we have to cash it completely back out.
To put it as an
and then yeah, so we would have to continue to recycle the money essentially. Yes, yeah. If I know that's how you're doing it, we would honor the same thing. There'll be a note in the file just saying that when this person passes, forward the money back over. But the thing is, they're not going to send me the entire check. They're going to essentially send the family the remaining balance. Because essentially when I write the funeral contract, I'm writing it for $3,000. And let's say there's $15,000 in it. The state wants to see that I refunded you back that money. So once you get the check, then we have to sign again.
Oh, because you transfer the account is just matter of not transfer the name. It's just you cancel the account and make a new account.
Yeah, so we have to go through the process again. That's the only thing, which is why I said the state wants it to be.
Rent?
Mm-hmm.
The person,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But before cremation, in the body itself, we bring it here for some prayer.
Mm-hmm.
That require casket.
Yep.
So, but the casket, we don't want to buy it because
Yep.
we're going to cremate it.
So what you would get is a rental casket.
Rental, yeah.
Yeah. So the rental casket is a hardwood a hardwood cherry wood casket. It's a dark stained casket. Essentially, what a rental casket looks like is, if you actually open up the inside, there's these levers. You'll pull those levers, and there's a tray that comes out, and you can change those out per person. So essentially, you're just paying for the insert and not the actual casket.
So how much for this one?
The rental, the casket itself is free because essentially all I'm doing is doing the insert.
So how much renter?
Oh, the insert is $250.
$250.
Which is why I said we would owe you back $500 if you did that option, because you wouldn't be purchasing a casket, which is about $800 to $1,000. You'll be just purchasing the insert. So that one would be $2,500. If you did the service, so the
$2,500 back? Take it back?
no. So you see how that paper has $3,000 for to do a burial. It would be $2,500 to do a service, and then instead of going to the cemetery, we go to the crematory to cremate.
Yeah, but 1 second. You said cremation for 850.
So 895 is for a direct cremation. So that's for us.
Cremation itself?
Yes.
Without any... Without
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's why I said we would owe you back 500 in the case that you signed up for 3,000 and then later on down the line said, you know what, I don't want to be buried. I'd rather be cremated. Essentially, cremation is always going to be more cost effective because you don't have to pay for the cemetery, you don't have to pay for the vault, so you're saving a couple $1,000s by cremation anyway.
You're saving the money on the على المدافن نفسها أو التربة.
Yeah, so in that case, if you wanted it that way, you wouldn't pay, yeah, so in that way we would work something differently with you, because you just want the casket for, so it would be like $1,200, $1,100, $1,200, because you'll just be paying for the cremation, which is $895, plus the $250 for the rental. Yeah, yeah. So,
مفيش حاجة اسمها إيه؟
say that one more time. Irrevocable. It's however. Yeah. So that can be either one. Yeah, yes, sir. So his question, and I apologize. I was actually. He said his was just, I don't want a service. I just want to come and do the 2-hour prayer, and then take me cremated. So in that case, we wouldn't charge for the full service. We would just charge for the $895 plus the insert, because his is not wanting the service. He just wants the prayer and then leave.
طيب انا اوضح لكم الموضوع كده في السريع. الموضوع بيتكلف $3,000. حلو. لو انت الناس دي مسؤوله عن اول ما الشخص بيموت، هم مسؤولين ياخدوا الجسم او الجثه تتغسل، تحط في صندوق، عايزين تحطوها في مكان يجي ناس يلقوا نظره الوداع ولا لا، او مش عايزه، دي حاجه اوبشن كده كده مدفوع ثمنها، وبعد كده يجيبوه بالعربيه يحطوه في الكنيسه، وبعد كده يودوه المدافن الدفن. ده $3,000. وممكن تعمل، خليك بس معايا، ولو انت عايز موضوع الحرق هيتكلف $1,200 فقط بس. $950 ثمن الموضوع المحرقه ديت، و$250 ثمن هتأجر صندوق لمده ساعه او ساعتين الصلاه، وشامل العربيه اللي هتجيبه من هنا والعربيه اللي هتاخده من البيت، الكلام ده كله $1,200. ما انت لو هتحرقي مش محتاجه مدفن. في واحد هيجي الساعه 1:30 عشان موضوع الارض. ما انا عشان كده بقترح موضوع الحرق. مش حلو. اكمل بس بقيه الشرح عشان كده، وزائد
Is a contract something between you guys and individuals, or the church in the middle?
So the church is from the contract side. The church is not in the middle. From the contract side, because it's typically business to consumer, and then we submit that to the state. So the church is not involved. The church is only involved when you all essentially make them involved. So when you say, hey, we want to have a service, that's when the church kind of gets involved. They don't really get involved any time before then.
So I get the discount just because I'm a member of the Catholic Church. I'm a member of
Yes.
So this way, if you want to make an arrangement, I don't want to sign right now. Let's say I give you a week to think about it. So do we need to contact you and say, okay?
All information is here for the contract?
No, so the contract's on a whole nother form.
No. The information, how can sign up to the...
Yes, so our number's right there. Yep.
I don't wear my glasses.
Yes, our phone number's on there. You can just call and say you want to sign up for a pre-arrangement, and we'll...
Say it again, sorry.
Yeah, you just contact us and say, hey, we want to do a pre-arrangement. Like I said, when I sit down, each person's is totally different. Based on your needs, yes. Or if you all kind of want to, I don't know if the church would be okay with like scheduling, if there's like 10 of you, I can just come out here and I can just do everybody's at one. But I do prefer to sit down because like I said, it may make more sense to do irrevocable for you, but do revocable. I like to sit down and talk because I don't want to put you in something that's not beneficial to you. Yeah, and like I said, you can you call us and let us know. We'll come on out, and then like I said, I'd rather sit down and just talk to each person individually.
Your offer has a limit time, or it is open?
No. So we had the same offer for St. Mary's for about 6 months, 7 months now. I probably this will probably be in place for about 2 years. With inflation, because inflation in the funeral industry goes up about 5% every year, so this price is probably be in place for about two more years.
Oh, I have a last question. If I do contract for 3,000, as I need to bury my body, and for some reason I change my mind, I need to bury it. You give me money back. That's right.
Is it revocable or irrevocable?
Irrevocable.
Irrevocable, you have three days from midnight, that night the day you signed. And that's just because that's what the state does.
No, my question is I do revocables contract with you for 3,000 for the procedure if I need to bury my body in the ground. Okay? So later on, after 3 years, 5 years, I change my mind. I need to do another way to bury my body. I need to burn. So I can take my money back?
Yes. So you would have to wait. You wouldn't get it back, but your family would.
Yeah,
because
I want to be here.
Because because yours is irrevocable, we would have to wait till you passed, and then we would just give your family back the difference.
So I can change my mind anyway. I need to.
As far as services, yes, you can always change your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're never tied to cremation or burial.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, your views can change, and when that changes, the contract will change at the time.
Service is very comfortable. Just go ahead for it. Go ahead.
But I do want to thank you all for if you have any questions afterwards, please call me.
And I have a question. Is on here? You are woman?
Yes, that's me.
And just having this not related with this.
That's me. I'm the owner. Yeah. Yes, sir. That's me. Yes. What we would do, if you died in Egypt and you were going to be, if you were going to stay out there, what we would do is we would just tell the state that the contract is going to be fulfilled by a funeral home outside the country, and then they will refund the entire amount back to the family. Yeah. Whenever you get a contract, I always. Yeah, I always tell the families to give it to somebody who would be the one in charge, so they know who to call. Yeah. Yeah, because we don't want your money to go lost. So you always want them to know that money's available. Yeah, because it's always your money. So essentially, just think of it as a savings account. The money is just sitting there waiting for you to pass away, essentially. And then then the money's free to be released. No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Guys, if anybody wanted, you can call me and then we could ممكن نبقى مع بعض نتجمع مع بعض زي ما هو قال 10 تنفار ولا حاجة ونعمل له مكتب هنا ويقعد ونملى الابلكيشنز وكده. Okay?
I have no problem coming out here.
Yeah, that's what I
Let
just
us know.
saw. Yeah.
Whatever's easier for everyone, I'll do.
That's great. Thank you so
No
much.
problem. You all
Thank
take
you.
care.
Yeah. Bye bye.
كده فهمتوا الموضوع يا جماعه؟ ال 3000 شامله اللي ايه في ايه؟ ايه؟ مش فاهم ايه؟ ما اقول لك ما احنا شغالين طبعا نفهم انا بنشرح 3000 شامله كل حاجه
So
طب والارض نفسها ليها فلوس تانية؟
we're giving them those.
Hey, I'm just going to start it off and then let her take over.
Sure. Just make it like small sentence so I could interpret.
Yeah.
I'll try.
I'm good.
I will record this. I will record it. That's okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
I will record it. That's fine for you.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are y'all? We're with the cemetery. We have 5 cemeteries in the Triangle region. The name of our company is LandQuest Legacy. We've helped your sister church, St. Mary's, establish their own cemetery garden at our Briar Creek Cemetery. We're honored to have done that, obviously, and Sarah's been instrumental in that. We have a cemetery here in Chapel Hill off of Old 86 that we actually this week went out and pinned a little over 220 spaces for your congregation, if it's something y'all are interested in. Yes.
المجموعة دي ساعدت كنيسة رالي إن هم عندهم مدافن في رالي هناك عند الكرابتري. Is it close to the Crabtree Mall,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
قريب من كرابتري مول هناك هم اشتروها وكنيسة رالي بيروحوا هناك بيستعملوها وهم السنة دي جابوا واحدة هنا في 86 فهم اوف 86 تاخد حوالي 200 كاس. 80 yes, 86 is off here. It's in Chapel Hill here. فهو بيعمل اوفر زي ما عمل اوفر لسانت ماري.
At this point, what we did for your sister church and Abraham and them is we worked out special pricing for the land, for your burial vaults, and that's just simply what the casket goes into. And also, we did something we don't normally do on a pre-planned basis for most families is we let you go ahead and pre-arrange the opening and closing of that grave. So it's not something, on that worst day of your life, you're having to scramble around and come up with the money. And we let you do that on a payment plan. We offer an interest rebate payment plan for 4 years based on down payment and what all you want to do ahead of time.
هم بيدوك الأرض هم مقسمين الأرض وهيدوك المساحة اللي أنت I'm not used to that. بتشتري قطعة الأرض وهم انت معاك الصندوق وهم بيتحطوا الصندوق جوه بس الصندوق بتحط كمان في حاجة تانية اسمها فولت حاجة حديد بتحط فيها وبيدخلوا أو أسماء ألواح بتدخلوها في الأرض فهو بيقول لك بيديك 4 سنين تسدد فيهم المبلغ ده. It's 4 years, right?
Correct. And we can do it less, but we max it out to 4 where it's interest rebate where you don't pay any interest as long as you pay it off in 4 years.
هو بديها زيرو انترست ما فيهاش انترست لو تدفعها في 4 سنين لو عايز تدفع اكتر من كده ممكن بيدي انترست بسيط يعني.
We are a perpetual care cemetery. All of ours are, and what that really means to you guys is, we're always going to be there. Even if we run out of land to sell, that cemetery will always be maintained. We put money in a trust account. It's irrevocable. Every time we sell land, we're governed by the state of North Carolina, and that money's put there so that the cemetery is always maintained.
Revocable, you said.
Ma'am?
Is it revocable?
Irrevocable. So it'll always be there. Irrevocable. No, yes, the property, once you pay for it, you get a deed to it. It belongs to you. You can transfer it to somebody. You can sell it to somebody. The irrevocable trust just means that nobody can go in there and mess with the money we set aside so it'll always be maintained. So, for example, as a company, our owner may go bankrupt one day. But for you guys, you don't have to worry about that because we're governed by a cemetery commission and we're perpetual care. A lot of cemeteries aren't. A lot of cemeteries like church cemeteries, they're just cemeteries where you can go get some land. One day if the county or the state decides to come build a highway, they can build over your cemetery. Perpetual care cemeteries, they can't do that. So you're promised to always have your place. Not going to happen.
Okay. So pretty much let's make it in different view. I'm going to start with him first. Because we kind of were getting all this information new to us between the funeral home and between the cemetery. So we wanna just make the border lines between the funeral, between the funeral and the cemetery service. So the funeral service will end by the time they get the casket to the land, to the cemetery, at the day of burying. Is that correct? Or, because pretty much, okay, we're talking about here the service with the spot we're gonna get.
Right.
You're gonna descend the body or take the body down and stuff. This service is not include nothing to do with the funeral.
Nothing to do with the funeral home. Totally separate.
Okay, so the funeral service ends by just getting the casket to the land. And you take it from
and we take it from there, yes, sir.
Okay. It's الأرض هي هو الأرض اللي بناخدها هي مش زي نفكر فيها just حتة أرض وخلاص بناخدها. في سيرفيس بتحصل. في السيرفيس دي بتبقى at the day of burial ولا في يوم الدفن زي digging بيحفروا بيشيلوا وبينزلوا بطريقة اللي هي زي كرينز أو حاجة بتنزل بيها. السيرفيس دي not belongs to the funeral. اتس على السيميتاري. السيميتاري هم اللي بيعملوا دوت. فاحنا بنبص للخدمه هي ارض already and we own the ارض like زي house زي anything you own it and you get the deed for it as he said. فهي انت بتملك الارض دي بس خد بالك ان انت ما تفكرش مش فكره ارض وخلاص. هي لسه في سيرفيس انت مضطرين تعملوها which is في حفر وفي الجاسكت دوت بيتاخد وهم بيحطوه على حاجه كده فوق وبينزل مش لانه بينزل حوالي how many feet down?
It's about 3.5 feet.
3.5 feet. So كل ده حفر بيبقى بروفيشنال
بيكون 6 feet misconception.
والحاجات دي كلها. فاحنا عايزين اوكي so
they dig 52 inches.
اوكي. So ما تخافش من الارض مش هيحصل لها حاجه مش زي ما بنشوف في اماكن ثانيه يقول لك هيبنوا هنا مول كبير let's move the cemeteries to another place. This is not going to happen في السيتويشن دوت. يبقى احنا pretty much our goal here ان احنا نعرف الثمن كام. يبقى and is the price include all the service or it's not? All right, you guys agree with that? So okay, so the price you're going to give it to us.
Yes.
Pretty much you give us one price and this is the price for the land and all the service comes with this with putting the gasket down and everything. Or we're going to break it down. Or doesn't make sense to break it down, just one price?
Well, everything's broke down on your contract because the way we're governed, we have to break each item down. But the way we present it to you is we have it set up, say one person has one piece of land, one vault, and one opening and closing. You have that information? Mm-hmm. Or if you're husband and wife, or you're looking to do two, then it'd be 2 spaces, 2 vaults, 2 opening and closings. We do let families also pre-plan that memorial that marks your grave. Most families kind of wait and get this first part done and then they deal with that because they may not know who's going to use the property. You know, you may transfer it to somebody. But eventually you'll mark that grave once you're buried there, and that is something we let you pre-plan too. It's not in our pricing.
Pre-plan here, just find out which spot you're going to take or what, or...
Yeah, you get to pick your spot.
To pick a spot.
Yes.
But the digging is not going to happen and putting any just trying to understand.
Yeah, you can pre-plan that. It doesn't happen until there's a death and you're ready to use it, but that way it's done. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so is this something having at one at a time? You choose it or?
I'm confused about the piece. So what if I sign a contract? What do I have to do? Pick the spot and that's it?
Yeah, we have maps here that we because we that's it.
What do you mean by pre-plan and?
Oh, okay. So what we mean by that is we allow you to put a down payment down and make monthly payments that fit your budget. And we do that on a contract that allows you to do it anywhere between 12 months or 48 months, interest rebate. So you got 4 years if you choose to do it that way, so your payment's not as high. And as long as you pay it off within the 4 years, you pay no interest. Yes, right, exactly. The pre-plan is all about saving money. And when we pre-plan, we discount everything. For example, right now, the spaces, we've got them cut so that you can get 2 really for the price of 1. And we did the same thing for St. Mary's.
Okay. So,
Once it's paid for, you can transfer it, yes. Yes, you can transfer it. Yes, you pay for the opening and closing in advance if you choose to. You don't have to. You can wait. The opening and closing is where they actually come out, take the sod off, survey the area, dig the hole, put the vault lowering device in place, get the vault ready so that when you leave the church or the funeral home and they bring the casket out, we're ready. We lower that into the vault, close it, and seal it all off.
Can I do it now, and then if I die later in a year or so?
Yes, that's the benefit of doing it now.
do it here mean pay for it, not going to the... Oh, okay, pay for it, okay.
Okay. And I think he's working on putting this flyer up so y'all can all see it. Make it a little bit easier to explain the pricing on it and stuff. Yeah, we do. All side by side. Side by side. Can you blow it up? And I'll review it with you. Yeah, get someone pass them out. So what you're looking at there on this flyer, everybody, in the middle of that cemetery, we have the water well, as well as a cross as the main feature. And so now you're looking at pricing, and we're going to pass some of these out to everybody, but for one space, if he gets it straight, might be easier if they pass these out first. But if you were just one person and you wanted to do one space, your burial vault, and we've got it already built in, the perpetual care on that land, so we don't have to break it down to you. Your vault has a tax in it already. The opening and closing, that's them actually digging the grave and then closing, of course. So if you were going to finance for one person, your total cost is $34.30 and 48 cents. That's tax, everything. Financing on that, you could put as little as $400 down. You'd have about a $76 a month payment for 4 years. Again, this can be paid off tomorrow, next year, whenever you want to. But as long as you pay it off in 4 years, you pay no interest, okay? 2 spaces, as you can see to the right there, you have the breakdown for 2 spaces, 2 vaults, 2 opening and closings. That's correct. Well, that's what the pricing is. See, spaces are regular about $2,000 a piece. You have the 2 vaults on there and the 2 opening and closings at $68.10. So for 2 people or a husband and wife, that's everything that you're going to need from the cemetery, except for one day you're going to mark your grave. Again, on the 48 months, you put $800 down. You got a little wiggle room on that down payment, but you'd have a monthly payment around $150 a month. Everything but the stone. We do let you do the stone, but we noticed with St. Mary's, most families worked on these items first and then came back and got the stone. Now, some families went ahead and bought their marker too, and you can do that. We didn't want to confuse you and throw it in there. Yeah, it has specifics, yes. It's we use bronze attached to granite as your memorial, and that's, yeah, it has to be, because everybody's the same. And they're all flat. Well, there's a single size and then there's a companion size. So they are a little different depending on whether you're doing it for an individual or for maybe a husband and wife. It's flat, yep. You got a brochure on you? Just to kind of give them an example real quick. We don't have mausoleum at this cemetery. The problem with mausoleums is getting them permitted and paid for. It's a process. And as a cemetery, you know, Okay. As a cemetery, like, if you guys wanted to build your own mausoleum, you'd have to come up with a lot of money to begin with. Yeah, we don't have a community one there. No. At this time, we have no plans to build one there. Does that answer your question? Right. Yeah, we have no plans of building one there. No, sir. That doesn't mean 10 or 20 years from now we're not, because we have plenty of land there, but at this moment we're not. They're just very expensive to do, so like we were going to do it for the church. Like we talked to St. Mary's about doing one, you know, just like a 50 crypt one just for the congregation. The problem is, you know, you're looking at $150,000 up front to give to builders, contractors, and then when that's completed, you're looking at another $100,000 or something to finish it off. And that's just something they weren't committed to doing as a church, but each individual person decided they wanted to do land instead.
Let's see if you have another spot somewhere. I'm trying to compare the prices here. So right now we see three prices, or break it down to three: space and vault and open and closing. So pretty much the change here is going to be only on the space, but the vault and open and close is going to be the same. Let's say if you get it far somewhere, and which is the land a little bit cheaper than here. Okay, so you're going to give me the space for 550, and the vault is the same exact price. And I'm trying to figure out what's the variables. All right, and the vault and open closing going to be the exact same price. You see my point?
You mean with us or somebody else?
With you.
Yeah, these prices are the same for you guys.
Okay, I'm trying to find out exactly what the if.
Are you understanding better?
What is no options? So the vault here, wherever I go with you, it's going to be the same price. Yes or no? Wherever location I go with you,
with
location
us,
is not yes.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Open and closing, wherever, here or New York, if you have it in New York, it's going to be the same.
No.
Okay, keep it here.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, our pricing is lower than most places, and especially for your church.
It's not. I'm not looking for this. I'm not looking for what can I change, what cannot. So vault and open close, it's fixed price. We cannot. We're not going to talk about this. For the space, it can be different from place to place.
So with our spaces, we created a whole new garden out there, so it's only going to be for the church. If I were to put you in a different garden in that cemetery, it's going to be more expensive. I have discounted these gardens just for the church.
Let me tell you. I have a spot in Atlanta before I moved here, and they charged me, let's say, $2,000. I'm trying to figure out if this $2,000 only they give me the space and no vault. At this time, I didn't know that it breaks it down this way. There's no vault and open and close.
Yeah, if they charge you $2,000 for a spot, that's what you paid for the spot. You still need a vault. You're going to still need opening and closing. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a series of things you pay. We try to show it as a package to help families out, because eventually you're going to pay for it. The sooner you pay for it, the less you do.
Okay, so if I buy from you on a spot, let's say as a customer here, the day of these things happen or something wrong happen here, I have to use it. How can I arrange for the vault? Can I get a third-party contractor to do it for me, or I still have to go with you?
You would go through us, yes, sir.
At this time, it can be $1,200 or can be $1,400 or.
Well, if you wait, let's just say 10 years, it's definitely going to be more.
Okay, that's automatic.
Because about everything that we sell, other than the land, now we're discounting the land for you guys, but you know, the vaults, the opening and closing, markers, That stuff, it goes up about 10% every year, okay, on average. Memorials go up a little bit more than that, but we don't pass that expense on to our families but once a year. So if you waited a couple of years and you had this flyer and we told you the price was different, you'd be like, wait a minute, I have this flyer. Well, we gave you this flyer, years ago.
Okay, so if someone says, like a cemetery, try to sell me a spot and they give me this for the space only, that means still some hidden charges I didn't know about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, if you did a space only. There's all of these steps, no matter what cemetery you go to, you're going to end up doing. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty
okay,
much.
Well, make sure.
I think you're going to figure out, you're certainly going to negotiate the price. I'm not going to negotiate the price. I'm trying to figure out what I have to do, what I don't have to do, or it can be different from a place to place.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
The only thing that you can't do with us is that funeral home part, getting a casket and or being embalmed, depending on whether you do that. So you would do that with the funeral home. When you're done with them, you would deal with your cemetery. And we try to help families, if they choose to have most of this done ahead of time. Because now you can make payments on it. When a death happens, everything you see up there, if you decided to use us, you got to reach in your pocket and pay for. Yes, that's correct.
So let's go back. Let's say that try to make a deal with you, more economical thing, right, or way on this. I can ask you, do you have another spot somewhere else, cheaper in space? I can say cheaper in spot, cheaper in space price in North Carolina.
So that way you meant the location, when you said the path as far as space price?
Well, no.
Raleigh is different than,
Well, so for example, yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, so the way they price gardens at cemeteries is availability. So when these cemeteries were developed, they created so many different sections, okay? As those sections fill up, the price goes up when they don't have a lot left to sell. For you guys, the same as we did for St. Mary's, though, we went ahead and started with basically a half-price space for you guys to get you started. Does that answer that question?
احنا في مصر كنا بنشوف العمليه هي مكان بتاخد فيه الدفن يعني فيبدو ان هو في حاجات انا ما كنتش فاهمها. مش فاكر انت تدفع اونلي بس ثمن السبيس. فا اوكي سبيس از 1000 I can buy 5 لكن ممكن اشتري 5 اوكي سو اوكي حاضر. فيبدو ان في حاجات اللي هي فيها البعض وفيها الاوبن اند كلوز، والاوبن اند كلوز ده اعتقد ان هو بيحفر وبيحط لها تاني والحاجات دي كلها. فهي فيها التكاليف دي. يعني هتخلص المدفن بتفكر فيها بطريقه المدفن 3000 ونص. انا حاولت معاه ما فيش.
شامل الارض، شامل اللوزر اللي هيفتح ويطلع التراب، شامل حاجه اسمها زي المحصنه كده عشان التربه ما تجيش على الصندوق، هي المحصنه والحفر والعلاج وكل حاجه 3000 شكل راكب.
يعني لو تجمع دوت على الرقم اللي فات هتلاقي العمليه كلها ممكن تتكلف الله ينور عليك.
يبقى الحلقه ممكنه.
هي دي السيرفيس.
That's correct. Yes, sir. That is correct.
So this is for the minute that you get the casket from the
Funeral home.
funeral home, and you're going to take care of everything for that one.
That's exactly right. Everything but that marker.
And then
Stone.
we bring you the stone and you put it.
Well, you would select a stone from us, and then once it's paid for, we would install it.
We have to buy it from you or from another?
Well, you can buy it from another company as long as it meets our specs. The problem is the way it's priced. They have to bring somebody in and install it, and then you pay an outside installation fee. And once you've done that, the family's paid more than they would have just doing it with the cemetery. So
So regardless the price. So don't focus me on the price. Just, okay, ignore the price. What other location do you have?
Oh, you mean cemetery-wise?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so we have one in Durham called Oak Grove Memorial Gardens. We have one in Briar Creek area called the Briar Creek Memorial Gardens. Now that is where St. Mary's section is.
Briar Creek?
And we have one in Garner, and we have one in Fuquay Arena. We picked out and pinned out about 200 spaces in the new section at our Chapel Hill Cemetery, only because you guys are here in Chapel Hill.
Oh, this is not my question.
Anything we do for the church is always less expensive. And we do that because it's a courtesy. We'd like to create gardens for churches because it helps us.
Least expensive? Okay, what's the least expensive out of this one?
Chapel Hill Memorial Gardens. Yeah. Yeah, Chapel Hill, because we don't do as many funerals there yet. Eventually we will. So the price is lower. And we have more land. Durham's probably the most expensive, or, if we're doing it for a church, like, for example, if you said, I want to go to Durham at our Oak Grove Cemetery right now, and you said, I got 20 to 30 families that would like to take advantage of this. Well, first thing we would have to do is create a new garden, and it means we'd have to bring in... We're not sold out, but to get you all together, as a congregation, we'd have to create a certain section.
Okay, so you can have the land that's sold out spots. Like if it's sold out, now this one is kind of new construction.
Yes, this is a brand new area at the Chapel Hill Cemetery that was laid out and pinned out for you guys, so you could all be together. What we did at Briar Creek, they're not scattered. We created their own section too. Their own section just from St. Mary's. You have the picture? And we would create a sign just like we did for them.
When you come, a new person comes, a new family from St. Mary coming to you, said, okay, we want a spot in this place, in where Briar Creek and where my church is. So you might say, okay, I'm run out of, I have to wait till I can get a new garden, or you can give him a separate, like a random spot.
So we still have plenty of spaces left in the St. Mary's garden. However, if you went somewhere else in the cemetery, so a different section, I can't give you those prices. Those are special prices for just the church for that section that I created.
This one at the church?
Right.
Okay. So St. Mary can be more expensive for us?
No. So if you wanted to go to Briar Creek and do what's in the St. Mary section over at Briar Creek, you can do that. The prices are the exact same. I match them. I'm not going to do something special for them and not for y'all, so I made them match. Okay. Because at the end of the day, you guys are still getting a better deal than the guy that comes from around the corner that wants to get that space.
So if I come to you, not from the church, I'm a member of the church, but I have no idea that you guys coming today. I come to you one day and not your door.
You'd pay almost twice that amount for what we're showing you.
Oh, that's what you meant as the price?
Yes.
Twice of this price.
Yeah, we've discounted everything. Plus, we're letting you do the opening and closing ahead of time, which a regular person, we don't let them do it ahead of time. They have to wait till there's a death, and then they pay for it. We're letting you guys do that. Yes, at the time of it.
Which is can be. Okay.
Right. And if you chose to use Chapel Hill, we're going to create your own sign, just like we did for St. Mary's. I don't know if any of y'all been out there and seen it yet, but we put this sign out there for them. This is just a temporary sign. Okay, and it marks their section. Okay, and we would do the same for your church if you decided to do that at Chapel Hill or whichever cemetery. Chapel Hill is already ready. We've got land there. We don't have to develop it.
Okay, can you talk to us how would it work?
The process of signing up.
Okay.
Let's say to sign up, is a church like between us, or like do I need to go to church, someone like Georgette, and she talk to you, or?
No, we sit down with each individual family because everybody's finances are different.
Yeah.
And Sarah's going to take it from here and kind of explain how we do it.
Okay.
Okay, so basically what we just do is we can meet with a whole bunch of people at one time, just kind of like we are now. What I did with St. Mary's, we sat down and just everybody waited their turn. If you want to set this up, but you don't want to do it here because you don't want other people knowing what you're doing or what your business is, you would just call me and we would set up an appointment and I would make it to where we meet somewhere, whether it be here at the church or I can come to your home, whatever is easiest and convenient, and then we would write the contract then. Yeah. So basically how it all starts out is, like, for example, it would go, Georgette bought a space. She bought 4 of them. All 4 are in her name. And she passes away. Then it goes to her husband. Her husband then has the choice of what to do with it. Whether he wants to use it or, let another person use it. It's up to, that.
اللي انت عايزه اي حد ايه اللي انت عايزه cemetery if I move to California.
So if you move to California, then you would have to, do all of your arrangements with your new cemetery in California.
Did I get credit from you or?
No, so you guys can, like, say you have the space with us, you move to California. You can sell it to anybody that you know, or if you want to say, hey, look, I'm moving, but my cousin, he still lives there, and I want him to have the space, you can use that space for him, if that makes sense.
Yes, but no refund.
No refund.
You can sell it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You will not be as a part of this deal?
So I wouldn't be a part of it. So if you had a space and you sold it for $5,000, that is none of my business. However, when you go to sell it to do the correct paperwork, you would then see me and sign stating that you are relinquishing your rights to it and somebody else is doing it, but my hands stay out of that money part that you're selling it for.
So the paperwork. And دي حاجة لينا مثالي. This is two separate services. ما لهمش علاقة هو الفيونرال والسودان. فيمكن تقدر تعمل دي الأول، تقدر تعمل أو يعني ممكن تاخد الأرض وتستنى على الفيونرال later on or the other way. That always. The way, okay, let's say the best way to do this is, as you said, a group or
individual if you want.
Okay. And the best way discount, you get, let's say you got 2 spots for six something like that, or between 7,000. It's the maximum you can make it on.
Is that true? I hear that if you get 2 spots, you get the third one for free?
No.
No. So if you got 2 spots, let's say, yeah, 6,500, you got to pay this for within 4 years.
Right. So the way that it's set up is that, like you've seen, well, they took it down. So, you're fine, I got it right here. So with this, so it's set up like the payments for 4 years. So it's kind of like a fail-safe. So I financed it out for 4 years, and as long as it's paid off in 4 years. Does that make sense? So the payments keep you paid off in 4 years, but if you want to pay more than your payment, you can do that. If you don't want to finance it and you just want to pay it in full, you can do that. But say that you did it and you just decided that you're going to pay $500 every month, and then you're like, okay, well now it's paid off. You can do that, and you won't pay any interest still or anything like that. We won't penalize you for paying it off sooner than that 4 years.
It's
You can choose this one.
Mm-hmm. So matter of fact, that is all the spaces that are pinned out. So every long box that you see is a space in the section that I have created for church. So you could pick any space in this area.
The numbers?
So we have it broken down at all of our cemeteries in each garden we break it down by a lot number, a section, and then a space number. So that's actually easier for loved ones to find, a grave. It's easier than saying, go to the back left-hand corner. I can break it down so I can send a map or give a map and say, hey, this is where your loved one's buried. So it helps find spaces easier.
If I have one plot in Raleigh,
Mm-hmm.
in the bride field, if I want to make it to Chapel Hill, do I need to sell it? Or
Nope, I can transfer it over.
I got it like in use and all. When I was in Raleigh.
Wow, what's cheaper?
Just pay for the plot only.
Yeah, all you would just need to do is just get with me and bring your deed for it, and then I
don't
can
think I
transfer.
have a deed. The property in the church, I have to contact somebody then.
It'll be in your file, so no worries. And like Sarah said, what we did at St. Mary's is we went back 2 or 3 times on Sundays, and we'd sit down in the kitchen down there and meet families. Some families wanted to not do it with everyone around, and that's fine too. We've got flyers that Sarah's done wrong and it prefers that each individual family call Sarah. We'd be more than happy to meet with you individually to help you out.
Thank you.
These prices are valid for how long?
I don't have an expiration date on them as of right this moment. But when everything else goes up in the cemetery, we'll have to kind of fluctuate and play with that as well. But he hasn't made me put an expiration date on it yet.
The first thing we want to do is get your commitment to the cemetery, and that's why we went ahead and handed out a brand new area for you. If you commit to it, we would honor these prices. Just to say you committed to it today, and we're going to start meeting families over the next week or so. I would honor those prices till the end of the year right now, and I may be longer than that. It depends on circumstances. But sitting here right now, yes, those prices, if you committed to our cemetery and started purchasing, they're good till at least the end of the year.
I want to pay cash.
Yes.
There's no discount.
No, anytime you want to pay cash, let's just say I'm going to buy the space off the market.
If you need to pay in advance, there's no discount for that?
If you want to pay it all up front, yes, we give you a 10% cash discount.
10%.
Yes, sir.
يعني 350 تدفع 3000 3000 10% يعني تدفع 3000 تقريبا. ايوه ما ال 10% بتاع 3500 كام؟ $350 اللي هم ايه ده بتاع 3100 4 سنين.
It is gated or?
There's not a gate on the front, so you can come and go as you please.
Okay.
Some families work third shifts, some families work first or second, so we keep our cemeteries ungated for that reason, so they can visit.
حد بيعمل راس مال هناك بقى السنتري
Right. So we take care of all of the maintenance for the land. That's part of that thing that he was talking about earlier, the perpetual care. That's part of what those fees go to.
And right now you said you have 20 spots already ready for out.
Mm-hmm.
50?
200.
The whole 200? The whole.
Yeah, there's over 200 spots on that map. Because within each little yellow grid there, you've got 16 graves. Like I said, we lay it out over 200.
Oh, okay.
Each yellow has 16? Okay, I got it.
You have an A 1 through 4, a B 1 through 4, a C, and a D.
يعني كل علامة
You guys have
كل علامة صفر في
16 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
ما كل واحدة صفر بتديها تشمل 16 مكتب 16
Exactly. Exactly.
16 مكتب مش واحد
Okay guys, anyone have a question here or عايزين في سؤال ولا نتكل على الله؟ Okay. Thank you so. Yes, yes. And can you have some extra just in case if you, yeah.
I'm going to put.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people will talk about it, ask about it later. Yeah, in
No,
general.
I'm going to keep him outside.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Okay.
ده بتنفعين زي مصر. زي مصر.
Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Really appreciate your time here coming on Sunday. Thank you, and it's good information. Thank you so much.
هنا لا، هنا مفيش كلام.